let's talk about James Madison then, because there does definitely the last couple games seem to be something going on with him, considering that the Villa game, he obviously came on off the bench in that game, scored the goal, which was great, but he only got the last 10 minutes in that game. Did start the game against Galatasaray, but then against Ipswich, considering we were losing for like that game, he only got 5 minutes, which was a massive surprise to a lot of people there. There is a narrative, as you're saying, that we're not seeing the best of him. He's not been very good. But, I mean, again, I'm looking at his performances this season. I think for a lot of the season, he has been quite good. I remember the Leicester game, beginning of the season, he was brilliant. He got an assist in that game. The Everton game, at home, we won 4-0. He played very well in that game. I thought when we played Newcastle away, I think he got an assist for Brendan Johnson's goal, and he was one of our better players. I remember against Arsenal, he was pretty poor. But against Brentford at home, probably man of the match. He was absolutely brilliant, got a goal and assist. Another brilliant game when we went to Old Trafford. He was played very well. Him and Decky were linking up amazingly, and a big part of the reason we won 3-0. And then it all started to turn. When it turned was we're against Brighton, we're 2-0 up at half time. He had a goal, and then obviously we fell apart, but he was obviously, seen as quite a big reason why we fell apart, because he wasn't putting in the efforts to make sure we keep that lead. We then play at home to West Ham. He actually had a decent first half and got an assist, but was taken off at half time with the score level, right? And we ended up winning the game 4-1. But he, for some reason, Ange decided he was to blame for why it wasn't going right in that first half, despite the fact that he got an assist and I think created 5 chances in that game. He then was probably man of the match on the Thursday at home to Alkmaar. On that weekend, but then came back in the team against Palace and was terrible, like a lot of the team, but he was obviously really, really bad in that game. Then completely out the team for Man City. The following game after that, out the team again for Villa, albeit he came off the bench and scored a free kick. Then started against Galatasaray, terrible performance, and then out the team again against Ipswich and only got 5 minutes to the team we were losing. So up until I would say that Brighton game, which was about a month ago now, I thought he was having a pretty good season. And then for some reason, since that Brighton game, something's happened and things have turned with him. So do you think there has been some sort of falling out? Is it a case of he's a bit insecure with the fact that Decky's maybe taken his spot? Is he what's it called? Do you think he's been really bad all season, or is it just a recent thing? Or is it just a case of, Ange believes Sarr gives us better balance and he has to be the full guy with Decky in the form he's in, and it's not because he's out of the team because of form. He's just more out of the team because of the balance this team needs. What would you think about that?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, look, Sim, the reality is that, is it a factor of all those things potentially? I mean, the reality is of it that, I said this during the show and I will say this again, that the James Madison, we all thought we would get him, we haven't seen on a consistent basis. Now, again, that can be for a number of reasons. Is it the system? Is it the fact that he's really struggled to come to a bigger club, with no disrespect to Leicester, although they seem to give us a lot of disrespect down the years, Leicester? James is one of those players for me that looks like he needs a lot of love and a lot of fact of being told that we need you, you're our main man. And the reality is that at the moment in this Tottenham team, he's not the main man, is he? Kulusevski has become that central role figure in at number 10. That means that really we've tried to play them together. It hasn't quite worked. I think it's damning dark.
Well, can I ask you quick, before we get into the whole, do we think there's a problem with Madison? Why is it when we have a game like, let's say, Brighton away or let's say Palace away, and we play Madison and Decky together, and it doesn't work, right? And we lose those games. People say, "Oh, it doesn't work." I agree. And then we put Sarr in, and we lose to Ipswich at home. People don't say, "Oh, that doesn't work." They just say, "Oh, we played terrible," but they don't blame Madison and Decky together.
I don't think it can't work. I think there's certain games you can do it, and certain games you can't do it, Sim. I just think it's more of a case of you've got to pick your selections wisely based on who you're playing. And the reality is there's no reason why they can't play together. Well, they are very similar like players now and what they've been asked to do for the team. And the reality is that Decky's output has been much stronger than James has been. let's suppose about it, since he's come to the club. And I know he scored a fabulous free kick the other day, and Ange made that point when he was asked by one of the journos the fact he didn't make the England squad again. And Ange, I think it's quite an interesting response. Ange says, I don't think you get in the England squad, mate, by scoring a free kick, which I think tells you a lot about the fact of where Ange sees James at right now. He's not there in terms of the level. If he was, he'd be in the team. Let's be honest about it. Sim, he needs to get results.
But he does have more goal contributions for Tottenham this season than any other player.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. But I mean, at the same time, I think if anybody said to you, you're picking your lineup tomorrow, and I'm not saying you can only have one or Decky or James in that position who you're going to pick. You're probably picking Decky on current form. That doesn't mean, to go back to your point, that Decky and James can't play together. I just think with James at the moment that I feel he's a real confidence player. And he really, I think, thrives on that. And the fact that it seems very, very clear that he's not at the forefront of Ange's plans. And the fact that, I've got to be honest with you, I mean, I didn't quite understand, what you're going to get from James Madison in 3.5 minutes. You said 5 minutes against Ipswich. I mean, what are you going to get from a player like that in 5 minutes?
No, I agree. And that was the one.
I think it's more of a, I don't mean to be rude by saying, it's more of a piss take, an insult, really, to bring him on for 3.5 minutes to go. That's the vice captain of the club. You've just said it there. He's got more goal contributions than anybody else this season in the Spurs team, I think you said. I mean, it's a bit of an insult. I'm giving you 3.5 minutes to go and do something.
Yeah, I agree.
For me, it just shows me that there is a bit of a problem there. And whether people like to say it or not, or they think I might be sensationalising things, it obviously all isn't well, isn't it? Because if James Madison is happy at Tottenham, and if Ange is happy with James, he's starting every week, and he's not starting every week. So that's a concern. They paid a huge amount of money for him. He isn't producing the value for that. I mean, if you remember, we signed James, we were losing Harry Kane at the time, and James took that number 10 shirt, and everybody was like, right, we've got somebody here that's going to really guide this club and lead us through this tumultuous period. And he played really well in those first 10, if you remember. Those first 10 games were great. And I remember at the time losing them against Chelsea, we were all sitting there thinking, as much as we're losing Van der Ven, we're losing James Madison. Now, if we're going to be honest with you, I mean, I'm not saying I want him to be injured or I wish anything on the guy, but I think, is he really that influential where we can't cope without him at the moment? And that's really hard for me to say that because I want James to be, at the top of his game and playing well for Tottenham and us needing him. I just don't think we've seen that player reproduce what he's capable of at Tottenham for a number of reasons. I think maybe the system's not working for him. Maybe the adjustment to Tottenham as a club is not helping him. But there's a talented player in there because we've seen it throughout his career. It's just trying to unlock that. But I've got to be honest with you, Sim, I don't really have the answer for you as to what that is. Is it changing the manager for James? I don't know. Clearly, there seems to be something there with regards to him and Ange and the way he wants him to play and the way he's not getting him to play.
But it was working for some games. I think our best performances this season have probably been with Decky and Madison together. I think I'd argue that. The games against Brentford and Man United were probably our two best performances of the season. I know we also beat West Ham and we beat Villa. But I don't think we were as dominant in those games as we were when we beat Brentford and Man United. And that was with Madison and Decky. And when results started to turn after the Brighton game, Ange just felt like we need a bit more balance in that midfield, maybe for certain games. And he's taken Madison out because Decky's just been our best player this season. He's kind of undroppable at the moment. But does that mean, I think a game like Ipswich, that was a game after the Ipswich game that started to make me think maybe there is a problem because when we're 2-1 down or 2-0 down against a team who haven't won a game this season, you clearly need quality on that pitch. You need someone who can come on and change the game in your favour and add those final third bits of magic. And you got the perfect person on the bench in Madison to do that. And he waits until 5 minutes to go when the game turns frantic. Everyone's just lumping the ball into the box, and the urgency is over the top. And there's no, when you have Madison on the pitch, you just need a bit of patience, don't you? You need someone who can set the tone of the game, and you can't give him 5 minutes to do that. You have to give him at least half an hour, 20 minutes or something to do that for 5 minutes to go. Was ridiculous.
On this point as well, so that also worries me because he is an influential character in that dressing room. He's very well liked in that dressing room. A lot of players look up to him. He's the vice captain. What is it? Again, what is he thinking when he's seeing our current form and he can't get on to affect the game for a longer period? That's my worry with James. I think, again, on his day, like you said, can be a fabulous player. I think the issue with James, like a lot of this Tottenham team, is it's severely lacking consistency. And until we find that consistency, Yeah, I do worry. I do worry. It's probably again, I really want to come on this and be really positive. I am in my life. I'm a really positive person in terms of outlook. I'm a person that always is excited, always is, forefront and hopeful of what I do, everything in my life. And Tottenham is the only thing in my life that is really so inconsistent in terms of what it does to my mood. And there's some people out there that feel like that. And I feel for every Spurs fan out there because there's such an amazing group of fans that we've got that all they want to do is see this team be successful. They go home and away, they travel around the country. We all commit so much money to this football club and what we do for them and how much we love them and on merchandise and stuff and everything we do. We all want the same thing, Sim. That's the thing that I think it's really important that we stress on this show. We all want the same thing. We all want Tottenham to be successful. There are different ways you can do that for certain. And to be fair, look, you said at the start of the show, they have gone down this new project. They've ripped up the coaching staff. They've ripped up the scouting network. They've embedded a new managing director in there as well. They've got a new technical director in there as well. But I just feel with Tottenham that still that culture, unfortunately, Sim, as it goes back to that point, there's still still in that building that unfortunately does not enable us to be able to win. And what I mean by win is win consistently and breed a winning culture. And unfortunately, I just don't know if football is the most. Well, I know it's not. It's not first in terms of when it comes to what everybody wants. And I don't want to go back to that topic again and veer back to that. But I think until this football club puts football at the forefront of its mind, the forefront of what we're about, I worry about where we do actually go in the future when it comes to direction and when it comes to what the plan is. I've always said the thing for me about Tottenham at the moment is, and Lee says it all the time when he comes on these shows, what are we planning for? What are we heading for? What is our ambition? What is our why? Can you tell me, Sim, what our ambition is right now? Can you tell me what our why is? Do you know what we're aiming and striving towards? Do you know that?
I think right now I'd argue if I was, let's say, if I was playing the role of a board member of Tottenham Hotspur, my answer would be after Conte and Mourinho, we realised we were in a horrible direction in terms of the football we're playing and how we were spending our money and what direction we were going for. And instead of going in that direction, we've decided to lower the average age of the squad, sign a lot of potential players who could look to the future of this club and not just because that's something we neglected for many, many years. When we had the 10 years of Conte and Mourinho, we neglected the future of this club and we neglected to bring in players who, were ready to step in and have potential to grow. We also are now playing a different brand of football, which the fans can get excited about. And I think the goal is that we have a team that can grow together and build a culture together rather than buying it from outdoors, because clearly we are not going to commit the funds needed to spend the money that is going to basically match the teams above us when it comes to money spent. So there's no point trying to go in the direction of trying to outspend our opponents. So while we're going to do things in a different direction where we're trying to be very, very smart with our money, buying a lot of younger players that have the potential to be as good as, the players above, the teams above us given time. And that is the way we're going to compete. And that's probably what they would say.
How long, Sim, is that? What in reality, we keep saying about the potential. We've been talking about the potential for like 20 years. I mean, at what point are we actually going to really be in a position to win? This is my biggest bugbear. In Tottenham, the manager's coming out and telling us that he doesn't settle for third or fourth or second. He wants to be first, but yet the actions of what we do is not a club that wants to be first. And I agree with you on your point you're making. I can't disagree with anything you've said in terms of what you've said there. I think
I'm just playing devil's advocate as if I was a board member. That's what I would say. It's not exactly what I believe, but yeah.
No, it's not what you believe. But this word potential infuriates me because potential means it could be great, it might not be great. So you are waiting really to see over time how this pans out, and I think that's the problem with Tottenham. We were a club that we used to have such more high standards. It really upsets me how these last 4 or 5 years.
But that was what we did under Poch, isn't it? It was a similar kind of thing, and it worked out, wasn't it?
I think under Poch, though, I think, you know what, just go back there for a second with Poch. There was a feeling amongst the fan base. I think generally, I can't talk for everybody. I would never talk for everybody because everybody's got their own feelings and views. I'm not here to talk for everybody, but under Pochettino, there was a feeling that we were building towards something. We were building towards having this stadium. We were building towards having this training ground. We were having a young side that was growing. We were seeing progression, Sim, week upon week in season 2, right? We were seeing that. Players were emerging. Dele was emerging. You know, Kane was growing as a player in stature and what he was. Hugo was that leader that we needed. Dembele, Wanyama.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that. In season 2 under Pochettino, we started the season with 4 winless games.
We did, but I think
we still showed some inconsistency in that season.
We did, but the key thing is with Poch is when you got to the middle part of season 2, and look, Sim,
we haven't got there yet.
This is still to play out. So listen, it could all change, and I could be a egg on my face in the next couple of months saying to you, you know, it has all played out. But my thing is that I saw big strides in that second season under Maurizio that was showing me we are improving. At this moment in time, I can only speak about what's happened today. Like you said, I can't predict the future, but all I can tell you is from what I'm seeing from the eye test is that I don't see anything massively changing here week upon week unless Ange really can get hold of some of these players and shake them. I mean that in the most politest way, because my worry is he was meant to have had a real talking to him after the Brighton second half. That talking to him lasted for 1 game because we responded against West Ham and won. The following week, we then go and lose to Palace. Again, he would have had he would have spoke about it. They would have talked about it. We then respond and we beat Man City and Villa, respectively, in the Cup and the Premier League. And then we follow that up with a really dismal performance against Ipswich Town. So it doesn't appear. This is what worries me, Sim. You know, I don't think do I want to sack another manager and go through all this again? I really don't. I'm so drained of sacking managers. We've run out of managers to hire, Sim. I couldn't even give you 5 names that would want to come for the Tottenham job. We've come to the point that the Tottenham job, can I be honest with you, as much as you sit here and say it's a great young squad and it's got potential, I don't think the Tottenham job's that attractive anymore than what it was 10, 15 years ago. We've gone through so many managers, you know. Ange wasn't the first choice. He was the 6th or 7th choice. Slot probably come out and turned us down. The job is not as attractive as what it once was. I look at Tottenham now as a club. Any manager coming in knows that the full emphasis at the moment is not on winning. It's on, unfortunately, other vested interests. But to come back to your point on the whole consistency piece, my worry is that I don't think the players are listening to Ange week in, week out. And I think if you haven't got players listening, that's a really, really difficult way to try and navigate and get the results in the long term. Whoever's in charge, you've seen it so many times, Sim. It's really, really hard. So I don't want to end the show on a disappointment or a downer. I want to really sit here and say that we're going to come back and we're going to learn and we're going to right the wrongs and we're going to, in the words of the players, what they put on X and Instagram, come back stronger. But I just look at us and I worry about the future because I don't see anything that's showing me at the moment, despite the XG being great in terms of the goals scored and, you know, less conceded and the way we've conceded less goals. There's so many reoccurring things around the goals we're conceding, around the fact of the lack of learning around second half performances, around the fact that we're conceding first in pretty much all the games at the moment. That is not sustainable for any team. It's not. It's not sustainable. And I'm a positive fan, and I'm saying this. I know this. When I see a lot of moderate fans, no disrespect, losing their shit, that kind of makes me feel better because I know I'm not in the minority. And look, every fan is entitled to their view about the manager, about the chairman, about the players. But as I've said, collectively, everybody is not doing enough. You know, it's not good enough on all levels, from the board to the players to the manager. You know, that's why I say the blame has to be apportioned. It isn't one person. It isn't 2 people. It's a number of contributing factors to why Spurs are where they are at the moment, which is really heartbreaking.
Yeah, and look, when you have such a bad loss just before an international break and you have 2 weeks to spew on such a result, and, you know, you look at the last 6 games, it's 3 wins and 3 losses, and, you know, as Spurs fans, we're all tearing our hair out as to, are we a good team, are we rubbish? It's hard to know at the moment exactly where we are, because it's from week to week, it's literally Jekyll and Hyde at the moment. But I'm still confident that in a few weeks' time, hopefully it can look very different for us. But
Can I ask you, Sim, just on that point?
could look different either way.
What gives you that confidence that you will see consistency? Because I'm only asking you on the basis that because you're seeing this up and down nature week in, week out, and we've had this discussion about the fact that I don't think the players appear to be fully listening to him. Otherwise, you wouldn't get those displays that you're getting every other week. What gives you the confidence and shows you that you can see consistency around the corner? Because that's what fascinates me. Why?
Because when we win very well. We win by big margins, and when we're losing at the moment, we are losing narrowly, usually by the odd goal, and that's easier to turn than I think these bigger wins will turn. If you know what I mean, I think that's an easier fix.
When we're losing, we're losing badly. You know, we're not losing in a way in which you look at games and think, God, we were really close to getting something there. You know, if we can't be honest with you, my approach.
Well, we are only losing by one. When we're winning by 3 or 4, right?
What I mean is, if I was coming on here, I was saying to you, Sim, do you know what? We played bloody well at Palace. We played bloody well against which we were really unlucky. We got done by a wonder goal. Then I would be a lot more different in my approach. But the fact that I look at the performances, and it's the lethargic nature and the lack of desire, lack of commitment, lack of fight, lack of passion in those performances. That's what worries me. I'll take your point there that they're narrow defeats. They are narrow defeats, but can you honestly tell me in the Brighton second half, in the Palace game, in the Ipswich game, tell me you're there for these games, you're sitting there, you're watching these games. Can you tell me honestly, from those performances, you were coming away thinking, God, we was unlucky not to get something there?
No, not those games. Not those games. And some games those games you are going to deserve to lose, and we did deserve to lose those games. I'm not getting no bones about it. We deserve to lose those games, and I guess the trend at the moment is with some of these performances, it does seem to be getting worse, which is a worry. But we also have had some big wins. We've also had some performances where maybe we didn't get the result we deserved, like maybe Leicester away and Newcastle away at the beginning of the season, where we probably should have got wins in those games and we ended up not getting the wins in those games. So I do think the problems that we got at the moment, I think are fixable. And as much as it's crazy after 11 games, you know, they're not being fixed and we're all tearing our hair out as the inconsistency. We've now got after this international break, we've got a long stretch of games now between now and I think February time, where it's just going to be relentless football. And if you remember when we did have Pochettino, and we obviously played this high pressing style, not too dissimilar to what we're playing now in terms of required a lot of intensity. Obviously, you can go one of two ways, but I always remember under Pochettino, it was always around November time and December where we really hit our stride, and we did have inconsistencies early in the season. That's not to say just because that happened it's going to happen now, but what I'm saying is, you know, let's just see where we are come Christmas. Let's judge things at that point, because right now, you know, the table is so tight. Obviously, the results against Palace and Ipswich are unacceptable. Don't get me wrong, but knowing this team, we'll probably lose to Ipswich and then go away at City and win, and then you make up for that result. And if we can make up some of those results with some unexpected wins, which I wouldn't put it past this team to do that, then things will look very, very different. And I think the wins that we have had this season, you know, I can't think of a win that we've had that we haven't deserved and that we've got lucky. I think all the wins we've had have been
apart from Coventry in the Cup.
Coventry in the Cup, I'll give you that. But in the league, I mean, like I think all the wins we've had, we've deserved to win. We won by big margins. Like when I see other teams win, like like when some other teams I've seen win this season, they've been getting some lucky wins, and then you look back and think, probably didn't deserve to win that game. But when we win well. We've got to keep that. We've got to remember that, and we've got to take inspiration from that, and not let these defeats seep too negatively into our minds and think that these defeats can't be sorted. Because as much as it's maddening that we're inconsistent at the moment, you got to remember when we do win, we're not lucky. We're not winning luckily. We're winning well. Like when we go back to that Nuno tenure, when we were winning, we were dreadful. We were terrible. We won. We were winning 1-0 with one shot on target from a cross from a goal that was supposed to be a cross that went all the way in, and would win the game 1-0. Like we were terrible during that period. No one was convinced by the wins.
I can't disagree with you on that, but I think it goes back to me that unfortunately for every game you're saying it's right, we've won really well. For the games that we've lost, we've also lost in a way that didn't really show me on the day that we deserved anything more from those games. You know, apart from, I'd probably say Newcastle away, where I think we were really unlucky, and Leicester, to be fair. Newcastle and Leicester, for me, have been the outliers where we played really well against Leicester. I don't know how we weren't 4 or 5-1 up, really, at the time, and we didn't win the game. And Newcastle the same, we played really well and got done with the high line. The problem is, I just want to finish on this point for me. Look, I don't see, at this moment, I don't see any benefit in sacking him now unless somebody can come to me with a ready-made, or say ready-made, but a replacement that can hit the ground running straight away, that can really take this team massively forward. I just don't see there's that person out there right now. So, I mean, people might think I'm crazy saying, well, why are you backing a man that clearly you don't have any faith in? I just don't see why we could write off a season, because you are making points there, Sim, that, you know, in the wins that we've had, we've dominated on. But I can't lie to you that I have got massive, massive reservations right now about this team week upon week and consistently about getting results. I just unfortunately don't see anything that shows to me there's going to be any real change in trajectory with regards to results at the moment. I really hope I'm wrong. I honestly, Sim, I really, really want to be wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong, because nothing makes me more happier, apart from my family and my kids, of seeing Tottenham win. And again, like that's the thing for me, that I want to see this club do well. I love the football club. You know, again, it changes your weekend when they win. You know, it's like, even when we're doing this kind of thing with content and stuff, you know, it's freaking hard when you lose. You don't want to be able to do this kind of thing. You know, you want to be able to talk about the club positively. I mean, I think that showing after City was probably our favourite ones of recording, because we were so upbeat, you know. And I don't want to talk for Maka, but Maka is one of the most positive people I know in my life, right? And I think he freaking hates the defeats because it's hard for him to accept there's problems there. You know, he wants to be an optimistic, positive person, but this is tough right now. And it is the lack of consistency that is really hurting us.
Look, Ricky, I think you'd be stupid after losing to Palace and Ipswich like we have, teams who haven't won, not to be angry and question things. I think you'd be stupid not to. And yeah. Of course, I question things as well. I'm not sitting here blindly thinking that it's all going to be upwards and where everything's going to be okay just because I like some of the wins that we've had. Of course, it's, you know, are we going to get that consistency? All these different things. Those are very big questions. And if it doesn't go Ange's way, he will be sacked. I don't doubt that. If he can't turn these things around, he will be the fall guy. But I'm just looking at it from what I've seen so far this season. I can see reasons why we can turn it around, and I can see more reasons why we can turn it around more than reasons why we won't. That's just my opinion. But people will call me deluded, so there you go.
Oh, well, Sim, mate, just to finish off, I really hope you're right. I really, really hope you're right. And I know for every Spurs fan that's out there, again, I'll say this, that everyone needs to remember we all do want the same thing. We all want to see the club be successful. There's different ways you can do that, but I think you should never get away from the fact that, you know, I'd like to think the majority of people that watch Tottenham and follow Tottenham all want Tottenham to win, because otherwise, what's the point? You know, there's no point, is there, in following the club if what you're taking out of pleasure is us getting beat. So, yeah, it's tough at the moment. We all want to talk more highly and positively about things at the moment, but I will, like I say, reserve my judgment until I'm with you next week, my man, and hopefully we're reviewing or previewing the City game with a bit more, you know, good feeling about us. But obviously, it's not been great so far when it comes to the news about Bentancur. But again, we make that point at Bentancur that he has to take whatever's given to him in the nature of that ban. It is what it is. But we are going to miss him in the Premier League, and we have to hope that Ange is going to work with the players when they come back, which will be very few days between the City game, to find a way of picking them up. But if you remember, like I say, last season we went to City, I mean, we were decimated by injuries. I think we had Emerson Royale and Ben Davies as the fullbacks, didn't we? And we went and got a 3-3 up there. So
exactly.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, knowing this team, you just never know, do you? Well, you know, we'll lose to Ipswich and beat City. It's just the type of team we are, isn't it? I mean,
City are on a terrible run at the moment, but I mean, Tottenham are the Tottenham. So the reality is that whoever's on a really bad form, we had their fullback. So
I would rather they were a run of wins, to be honest, and we'll probably win that game. But look, Ricky, well, I think we'll end it there, but appreciate your time as always, mate. Appreciate you coming on the show. Do you want to let people know what's going on Last One on Spurs this week?
You're very kind. Yeah, we've got we're doing an interview tomorrow with one of the co-authors of Ange's book, who is used to Ange at this stage of a season, and will give us some interesting analysis of what Ange will likely do in these coming weeks and months based on his previous tenures at different clubs. What is to come in the second season? How can he fix issues that he was suffering at Celtic? So that'll be interesting.
I've
We've
heard
got David-
it goes from chapter to chapter, just beautifully written. They're not utter rubbish. That's what happens in the book.
like our form, right? Like our form. And then we've got a big show with David Pleat coming on the weekend, which will be great. David obviously
brilliant.
was at the club for a long time. He's got a lot of inside experts from around the club, and it'll be interesting to get some stories from David about probably who we signed, who we didn't sign. I'm sure people know about that anyway, but it'll be great. So yeah, thank you so much, Sim. We're looking forward to having you boys on our channel around transfer window time. I mean, God, what we're going to be like doing those shows together.
Let's just hope we can survive until Man City, and then we'll see what we can get from that result. Because at the moment, I don't know if this fan base is ready to implode. I think at the moment, so let's just hope we can all survive until then.
Just a message to the Spurs fans that watch this channel, and again, you guys have got great support, and that we love being part of this with you guys as well. And likewise, we're looking forward to returning the favour on ours. Just remember, guys, we have got a week away from it. I would just urge supporters, man, just go and do the things that you love with the people that you love, and just go and take a break from away from it. Because the thing with supporting Tottenham in general, for those out there know, it is really draining, Sim. We unfortunately run what we do with Tottenham run what we do now. We've got our own independent things that we're doing with the channels and stuff. But it's really important, I think, when Spurs aren't on, just find that solace, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's going to the gym, just get away from them at times. Don't let them surround and cloud your life, because, I'm sure like everybody, they're the first thing you wake up from, or the first thing you think about in the morning, the last thing you think about when you go to bed, and it isn't all positive right now. So I'd encourage people to go and do what they love most, and don't allow the club and the results to sway you. Even though I look so at the moment.
So what you're saying is just do a Macca. Just get away from it all for a bit. Find a holiday. Just as soon as just do a Macca, people. All right, nice one, Ricky. Appreciate your time as always, mate. We'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.